Even locals are too scared to come to the forest. Foreigners will think you're going to take them to a dark, creepy place, then rip out their kidneys. I'm Acadia Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Sheltering in place is not advised, as your survival cannot be ensured in that scenario.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Welcome, everybody, to Strangeful Things, where we talk about weird shit. It's also not safe for work, so I already said shit, so that might be too late to tell you that. I'm Acadia, like I said, and I'm here with Shooey.
Hey.
Shooey.
What's going on?
You're my neighbor.
I am now. Are we jumping right into new and good?
No, we can't do new and good because we have to talk about old and sad.
Oh, all right.
Because now we don't have Mel's and we don't have Snoop's.
Yeah.
It's all dicks, no chicks.
Yay.
No one's ever said yay to that.
No one ever has.
You were the first. All right, well, we're breaking ground. Anyway.
Well, yeah, we've already started changing things.
We love everybody that has been on the show and can't be on the show anymore and everything like that. And yes, I understand completely that the only thing all my bad relationships have in common is me, but I'm going to forge ahead and deny any problems on my part.
That's a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah.
That you're really taking big steps forward. Leaps forward.
That is a leap. And
yes.
I am ready with my been friends for so long with Shooey that if we had talked to each other for like the intervening 20 years, give or take, maybe we could have hopped on this bandwagon a little sooner, but whatever. Now we're ready to soar.
We're ready to take the world by storm.
I don't understand what that
by
means.
Sprinkle. At least.
You know what? We're going to see how it goes. And we're going to keep with our traditions. We're going to do new and good. So Shooey, what's new and good?
All right. Well, I being me, I have a new and good and a new and sad. So my new and good is that we have finally moved. My wife and I are now in Matthews near Acadia, and not that we've gone over and visited or anything.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, so that's the new and good. And I just wanted to take a second because my dog died the other day. And when you have that pet that is different than all your other pets ever have been.
Yep.
Well, that was Leela. So she's gone, but we still have Luna, the mental case, and we'll continue forward and stuff. But was just glad that she was able to make the trip, see the new place, force her to go up and down stairs for a couple weeks.
Well, rip Leela. I know how it feels. I know how it was when I lost Captain.
Yeah.
And it sucks. But in the same weekend that horrible tragedy took place, there was also new life brought in because you went out to eat with your lovely wife and you stole a cat from a parking lot.
Yeah.
And we took it. So now we have little Ripley.
Yeah.
So
she's
if you follow
a cutie.
At Acadia on Twitter, then you've probably seen pictures of her.
Lots of Ripley pics.
What's my Instagram superficial gallery?
No, Acadia Einstein.
Oh, all right.
But no, she was a sweetie. My wife and I were walking out of a restaurant and we heard this meow from under a pickup truck. And we looked and there was nothing there. And then my wife looked up and she said she's in the engine. She had climbed up above the wheels and stuff. And then she came down and we tried to get her for a few minutes, couldn't get her. Finally, I grabbed her She had no collar. We got her checked. She didn't have a chip or anything. And we weren't going to leave her in a parking lot. So we just kept her, and we were going to either bring her to a shelter or something. But like, she's a sweetheart. She was purring within like 10 seconds after I grabbed her from underneath the car.
Yep.
She's just a sweetheart.
She's a good girl.
Yeah.
And her name is Ripley because she's a badass and a survivor. And,
Nice.
that worked out good. So you
Yeah.
can see, all right, Acadia Einstein is my Instagram, apparently.
Yes.
I can't remember who I just told it was Superficial Gallery, but that was wrong. So whatever. So if Superficial Gallery is some kind of weird gimmick thing, it's not my fault. Now, all that aside, if you've been listening to Strangeful Things, then you know that we're about ghosts and aliens and weird shit and terrible things and poor systems of government and murders and everything like that. And I found a story that has a whole bunch of those things all in one.
Ooh, how much fun is that going to be?
So now if I said the word Hoia to you, what would you think?
Hoia?
Yep,
I would think Georgetown.
that's right. You would think Georgetown basketball. However, you would be 100% wrong because
No.
the Georgetown Hoyas are probably not haunted. Although I would love for someday Madison Square Garden to be haunted by the angry ghost of Patrick Ewing for getting no support for his entire career.
Yeah. It's either going to be
Starks?
that or 19,000 ghosts of people who had season tickets through the last 20
Yeah, that's
years.
true too. Yeah, no, you know what? If you bought season tickets to the Knicks, you knew what you were getting. You knew what you were getting. So this is a different Hoia. This is the Hoia
Oh, boy.
Baciu Forest. It's Hoia Baciu Forest, and it's in Romania, specifically in the Transylvania section of Romania.
Ooh. That's scary. That's where Dracula lives.
That's right. Vlad the Impaler was from that area. And good old Bram Stoker based his book on him. And this forest is definitely number one considered the most haunted forest in Romania. But that's not a good measure. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you can see anyone could be the best X of Y. Like
Right.
somewhere on the earth is the world's toughest Amish person that could beat up all the other Amish people, but that doesn't say anything how tough he is compared to non-Amish people.
True.
You know?
It's true.
It's a pretty famous forest. I mean, there's not that many famous forests.
No.
Sherwood. The Black Forest.
DeForest
Forest.
Kelly.
Yes, DeForest Kelly and Run Forest. We're out of forests. So we're going to get into what all is important about this place. I'll give you a little bit of detail about the area, etc., etc. It is outside the city of Cluj-Napoca. And I assume that's how you say it. Cluj-Napoca, when you translate it from the Romanian, means Cluj-Napoca. So I didn't really get anything out of that. However, Hoia Baciu means Hoia kiss. Because Baciu apparently means kiss in Romanian. Now, what's the Hoia come from? Well, apparently, the Hoia name comes from a shepherd who disappeared in the forest with his 200 sheep.
All of them?
All of them. Not a sheep was left. I don't know where the kiss part comes up, but that's the story.
That's what
story
shepherds do with their sheep.
The shepherd. There's some other weird stuff. Overarching weird stuff. It's Transylvania. So you immediately get extra spooky credibility for being in Transylvania.
Right.
But beyond that, there was an archaeological dig kind of nearby in a place called Valleyalunga, which apparently means long valley, which is not, I think I probably could have figured that one out by myself.
Guessed that one, yeah.
Yeah. And the place is called, wait a minute.
The place is called Wait a Minute?
No. So this is weird. This says, I'm gonna translate this too. This says Hoia Baciu is what the name of this place is called, but this place translates that as, that's bullshit. See, this is another one of those cases where people just make some goddamn shit up, and since the only references there are to anything are each other, it's just a big fucking circle jerk. Dingus fucking goddamn shit. All right, so I'm not even gonna say what this guy said that Hoia Baciu meant, because it doesn't matter. What does matter is that they found the oldest Neolithic settlement in Romania right nearby. They've been digging it. They dug it up between 1960 and 1994, so they're super fucking slow at it, number one.
Yeah, that took a long time.
Number two, apparently the stuff was up to 6,000 years old. On a weird side note, and this is just interesting in general, so when did the Sumerians start writing shit down? Cuneiform, when did that start?
I don't know.
Hold on. Because that was the beginning of, and this doesn't have anything. Look, we're just back. We had a long break. So give us a break if we ramble just a little bit. Okay, so cuneiform was 3200 BC.
All right, so right before hieroglyphics.
Yeah. So it's about 5,000 years old. But let's just say that if you count cave paintings and whatever like that, then technically recorded history is about 10,000 years old.
Right.
Humans have existed as we exist now. Same brains, same everything. Probably in a lot better shape because they walked a lot. They definitely got their 10,000 steps in. They've been around for 300,000 years. So they spent 290,000 years either having such an action-packed life that they didn't have time to invent writing, or such a boring life that they didn't have anything they felt was worth writing down. So I thought that was that was exciting news for me. I didn't realize that my brain is the result of 300,000 years of evolution. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's why everybody's fucked up now, because nothing happened for 299,900 years.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Look at how fucking different everything is.
It's like they invented the wheel and they were like, we are set for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Even our grandparents, I grew up, there was only radio and then there was TV, big fucking deal. I grew up and computers were the size of a house, and now my phone is 1,000,000 times more powerful than that house was.
Yep. And
things have changed a little bit more now.
I was thinking about it from the standpoint of my mother's father was born when cars were just being invented, And when he died, there was a space shuttle.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah.
That's a long fucking span.
Yeah.
He didn't seem too impressed by it anyway. So, and he also used to, when I was a little kid, every time he sat down near the TV, he would tell me to turn on the Red Sox. And I would get so fucking, he was just kidding, but I would panic because I'm like, I don't know how to do that. They're only on when they're on. Like, I don't know what to do. So, we're going to talk about the forest now.
All right.
It's a few kilometers away from the city of Cluj-Napoca, like I said. It's in Transylvania. And a lot of people talk a lot of shit about it. Like a lot. A lot of people. And
talk shit about it?
Yeah, about how scary and monstrous and horrible it is.
Oh, okay.
So I might expand our posts on strangefulthings.com in this one instance, and by me I mean you who do the posts now, for
who else is on?
Huh?
Who else is on?
That's right. It's just us now. You can't. There's no place to pass the buck to. We need to put pictures in the show notes for this because the pictures of this forest are pretty fucking trippy. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
First of all, it's up on the top of a mountain. I don't know how you judge a mountain versus a hill, but it's high up there, and it's super muddy to get up there too. So we're not going anytime soon. We're not going to go.
So dying to go to Romania.
Hey, I was in Hungary.
Good for you.
That was a neat
man.
place. The guy at the hotel told me that my car would absolutely, definitely get stolen if I didn't have the club that he just happened to conveniently be selling from behind the fucking counter of the hotel. So that was fun. And then I was driving down the road.
And then he stole my car.
I was driving between Vienna and Czech and Prague, and a cop, maybe he was a cop, I don't know, he was dressed like a cop, but kind of like a Benny Hill cop. He just wandered out into the street with a little sign that said arrête or stop, whatever the fuck you meant, stop. And he just stood there jabbering at me in a language I didn't understand until we gave him enough money for him to leave us alone.
Huh.
So we were either robbed by a cop or we got a ticket. But I don't know what the ticket said. It could have just been, the ticket literally could have said, you have just been robbed by this person who's not a cop. Anyway, the peccadillos of Eastern Europe notwithstanding, we're not going up this hill because it's too high and it's too muddy. But if we did, then you're going to see a forest that's like the pictures that Shooey is going to put in the show notes of the post.
Look at me.
See, the trees are all jacked up. Like, they don't grow right. In some instances, there are like 7 or 8 trunks of tree growing out of one group of roots. A bunch of them are twisted, like, not like crazy straw twisted, but definitely like spiralish.
Right.
Type of thing. And for some reason, they're all clockwise. That's the way they spin. They don't go the other way. So that's kind of weird. There's nothing that, and real scientists have been to this place and examined some of this shit, and they're like, yeah, there's no reason why a tree would grow like this. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, there's no, like, that's not what trees do. And so it's unexplained, which is part of what our show is, unexplained shit, right?
Yep.
So then we've got some of the legends associated with it. The first legend being the disappearance of the shepherd and his sheep. So there's a disappearance right off the bat.
Right.
Now, I would tend to think that maybe the shepherd went missing and a bunch of people from the town each got a few new sheep.
Got some tasty sheep.
Yeah, I'm not a tracker, but I'm going to think 200 sheep would not be stealthy Like, I don't care how big. Like, I looked at the forest from Google Maps, and it's big, but it's gut end. You could walk all the way through it. You'll come out the other side. I mean, it would suck if you went the long way, because it's sort of like a rectangle-ish type of thing. But you could get out. Also, and this is the kind of shit that bugs me about this. Nobody found any sheep skeletons at all in the hole in the woods in any way. So part of this is going to be me explaining the horrible, weird things about the woods. And then the other part about it is going to be me explaining why they enrage me. So that's the first one is the shepherd one. I could get it if it was the shepherd and they found the sheep, but the shepherd was gone. That would make sense. I could almost buy the sheep being gone and the shepherd being there. Because unless he was hugely fat like Terrare, there's no way he ate 200 sheep and tried to get away with it.
I've tried. You can't really do that's too many.
Make a great leg. That's 4 legs of lamb.
That's a lot of legs.
2. That's I'm no mathematician, but that's 800 legs of lamb.
That's not to mention quality math there.
Where's the shank come from?
I don't know, but I don't want one.
I fucking love lamb shanks. My mother-in-law used to make them. They were so good.
Lamb shanks, eh?
I don't know. I don't know which part was the shank. But anyway, it wasn't just the shepherd that disappeared. And the story is weirder. This next story is weirder. A 5-year-old girl got lost wandering into the woods, and she was met by a young Paul Bonacci, who then not really. She just went into the woods and she never came out. Disappeared.
So was her family just taking a stroll through the woods when they lost track of her? Did she wander into the woods?
What was the name of the girl that got lost and that fell down the well?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yes, you do, baby.
No, I really don't.
You really don't?
Jessica?
Yes, baby Jessica. Baby Jessica fell down the well. We remember that. Nobody remembers the name of the 5-year-old that disappeared into the woods.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it was long ago. Maybe she didn't have a name yet. Maybe they hadn't thought. Maybe they hadn't exactly fixed on one.
Romania.
Which would also explain why they couldn't find her, because they had nothing to call out if she didn't have a name when they were looking for her.
Missing girl.
You blonde hair.
Missing girl.
But here's the weird part. 5 years later.
Oh, that is weird.
She came walking out of the woods.
What?
Wearing the same clothes she was wearing the day she disappeared.
What?
She was completely fine. She had no memory of where she'd been or what had happened to her. And she hadn't aged a day.
That sounds made up.
Shit.
What color source is this?
Green text on a black starry background. It's a legend. You don't need a source for a legend. It's people say.
Oh, all right. So this is like Paul Bunyan.
He was born in Maine. Paul Bunyan was born in Maine. And he was so big that they had to put his cradle in the ocean, and his cradle rocking back and forth is why the tides in the Bay of Fundy are so big. So there.
So that perfectly explains everything.
There's a statue of Paul Bunyan in Bangor because he was born in Maine.
Okay.
Which they, since Derry in the Stephen King books is Bangor, there's a statue of Paul Bunyan in Derry. Because Stephen King doesn't make up his own shit. He just looks around and then changes the names of things. So, she came back, had no idea, and she was just fine. Probably restarted kindergarten. No report as to whether she was any smarter or anything like that, but I would assume not, since she didn't remember the fact that she was gone. Now, That sounds redonkulous, I understand. But there's going to be other things that people purport to have happened that are going to sort of back it up. There were 5 other people who vanished, except that they were later found dead. So that's
a slightly different end to the story. That's not the same.
And apparently all of those people committed suicide in the forest. Now, this is no Japanese suicide forest, which I was gonna do a double forest episode, but I don't like doubling up because it makes making the title card harder if it's in 2 places. So if we ever do the suicide forest, it'll be later. There's not going to be any more forest episodes. Unless someone kills Forrest Whitaker, I don't think we're going to be doing any forest episodes. Now, supposedly 1,000 people have disappeared in that forest. Never to be seen again. 1,000 people that apparently nobody knew or missed or wrote down their names or anything like that. It's just a fact. The trees, the hideously bent weirdo trees, just eat people.
Huh.
Right.
Except for that one little girl.
Except for the one little girl. She got out. But she's no help because she didn't fucking tell anybody what happened. Pretty selfish of her, actually. Yeah. I wonder if she's alive.
When was that story from?
Nobody knows. Just legendary times. Maybe
legendary times.
Maybe the time of Perseus. I don't know.
Time of King Arthur.
And there is an interesting portion of the forest called the Poiana Rotunda.
Ooh.
Now that in Romanian means round glade. So that doesn't have it's Poiana Rotunda sounds a lot better than round glade.
Yeah.
Although probably not to a Romanian because it just means round glade, but whatever.
Another solid point.
It's almost completely circular. And by almost, I mean vaguely circular. And the only thing that grows in it is grass that I've heard conflicting reports. It all grows to the exact same height, or it's super tall, or it grows like normal grass. But they make a big deal. Like some people like no vegetation grows there. And then all the people that are except the grass, but no trees are in it. Right. Now, there's a picture. I saw a picture. There was grass and there was a big weed in the middle of the grass. So obviously at least 2 things grow, grass and that weed.
Stuff can grow there.
Right. Now, why are there no trees in it? I think that at one point that there was a fire and fires burn out in a pretty much circular-ish way, and then it may have burned itself out, and the trees probably tried to grow into where the thing was, but it didn't take.
Right.
Like maybe there was a little baby tree and someone stepped on it and that was the end of the baby tree.
Oh, that poor baby tree. Because
of the next phase of what makes this forest interesting. And now we're going to get into people that actually existed and stuff that we can actually verify. So hold on to your socks.
I'm not wearing any socks. Should I go get some?
No, I guess not. Oh, by the way, the dirt researchers were like, yeah, there's no reason why stuff wouldn't grow in this dirt. It's just dirt.
Dirt's dirt.
Dirt's dirt. I'm a scientist. I went to school to prove this. Now, all of this stuff, the round glade, that's from like 200 years ago. It still exists today. It gets some foot traffic, and we're going to explain why. And now we're going to go into what exactly are the hard facts associated with this forest that has been called the Bermuda Triangle of Romania.
Forests.
No, of Romania. Again, lowering the bar. Like, like
the spookiest 3 points in all of Romania.
The spookiest 3 points. Saying that it's the God damn it! It sounds reductive to do it, but it is kind of reductive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Bermuda Triangle of Romania is like, I'm the prettiest model that wears dentures.
I'm
like
the
there's
tallest guy in my house.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. So, in 1953, biologist Alexandru Sift, which Sift, he should have either been a baker or an archaeologist, because they're the only two people that I think that sift on a regular basis. Right? Are there any others?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Guess
All
not,
right.
I mean. Yeah.
Well, he discovered a strange phenomenon. He had heard all the legends. He maybe wanted to find some sheep skeletons.
Right.
And apparently he got a weird feeling while he was walking around. Which, if you're walking around a creepy forest and you didn't get a weird feeling, you're probably a sociopath. So I'm glad that Alexandru Sift had a weird feeling.
Right.
But he took some pictures, and after he developed them, he made he found that along with the weird tree shadows that he thought were following him, see, he thought he was getting followed by these weird shadows. He took the pictures of him, and along with the shadows, there were other strange objects and silhouettes in the pictures. But he had not seen them when he took the picture. So it was like EVP, but instead of electronic voice phenomenon, it's electronic visual phenomenon. Stuff that only appears on film that you can't see with your naked eye.
Right.
I don't know if that's what it's really called, but I just invented it. So
sounds good.
His pictures attracted other scientists who were like, hey, what's with those weird pictures that you took there, Sifty?
Pretty wild pictures.
Yep. They're like, we're going to go too. Now, the other thing is, we're talking about this place like it's, Vermont or, Mississippi, where you can just go wherever you want and go into forests and start doing stuff. This was communist Romania. So I'm sure that everything that they tried to do on a daily business basis was probably a lot harder than other people would normally find it.
Right.
Which brings us...
Brings us to what?
It brings us to Emil Barnia. Now, on August 18th, 1968, Emil Barnia, who was a military technician, 35 years old, he was on a picnic in the forest with his girlfriend and two of his other friends, which I hope for his sake was a couple, because why would you bring two dude friends or two lady friends with you on a date? That would be a terrible date.
Yeah.
Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he was gathering wood for the fire that they were sitting around. And he heard his friend saying, hey, come here, look. And he got to the round meadow, which is where they were. Because if you're going to go to the forest, if you're going to set a fire, the round meadow is probably a good place to put the fire, not underneath all the very flammable trees.
Yeah.
So I applaud their conservation efforts there. But when he got there, he saw a large UFO moving silently across the sky.
Oh, boy.
And he took pictures.
I didn't see UFO coming.
I told you, this forest is a fucking potpourri of all the shit we cover. If Paul Bonacci had actually been there, then we would have had it would have been better than a trifecta. He took these pictures, which will be in the show notes, and while he was taking it, it still didn't make any noise, but it started it flashed, and then it kind of twisted around in the air, and then it flew away. And after, so this is the part that's weird. He lost his job because of it.
What?
The communists fired him from his whatever fucking job it was, military technician, for taking these pictures. Which is not cool at all, but it happened. And I guess this part, you're like, this is, definitely true, blah, blah, blah. He was either 35 or 45, whatever. He only had a girlfriend, so I'm going to assume he was 35. Because by 45, come on, man. Get with it.
Maybe he just likes playing the field. You don't know
He
him.
was in a field, so I guess maybe you're right.
Yeah, maybe he likes playing in a field.
Anyway, he lost his job. There's a problem. It's a big fat problem for him anyway, because apparently, and this doesn't make any sense to me either, but maybe it's true, that if you lived in communist Romania and you lost your job, they didn't have unemployment, which seems like the opposite of communism.
Yeah.
No, because that would be socialist. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they did.
Well, that's what gets me. Like, whenever anybody talks about communism, they're talking about like Russia and China, which are just dictatorships pretending to be communist.
True.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, anyway, it didn't work out for that dude.
No.
Because he lost his job.
Can't believe he lost his job for that.
But the pictures got out. The communists didn't clamp down on him or anything like that.
Right.
And they made quite a splash because they were like, hey, these are really good fucking UFO pictures. You know what I mean?
Damn good.
Right. And honestly, with all the revelations coming from the military now, where they're releasing the whole, we see shit videos, we can't explain all the time. Not that I am like, oh yeah, I completely believe everything about, UFOs that anybody's ever said now.
Yeah.
I believe more than I did. But like with everything else, you have to ask cui bono, who benefits from them releasing that information. If people are talking about that, they're not talking about something else. Yeah. Everything is terrible. Anyways, back to our buddy. His pictures got all the UFO people super stiff. But I guess they didn't do much about it for a while, because even though that they were they were studied by institutes and think tanks and whatnot, everybody said, yeah, we can't find any evidence that these were faked. These seem to be real photographs. Huh. So that was pretty neat. And then we're going to skip ahead. Well, I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to go back.
Skipping ahead.
You know what? I'm going to finish this part up. In 1994, this guy named Kalen Turku, who's one of the most important ufologists. again in Romania. And that one is pretty shitty because if you're only one of the most important ufologists in Romania,
Wow.
that's
not something to brag about.
I mean,
I made the hottest eligible bachelor in Romania list. Woo!
there's only 19 million people in Romania now.
Right. So it's like the size of New York population wise.
So I'm not 100% sure what the average population of ufologists is per 1,000 people, but I'm going to guess pretty low. Anyway, he said,
anywho,
he got this letter from after Email Barnea died. He got this letter that was written by a close friend of Email who had heard that the guy had been visited by strange individuals who brought him to like the bosses of the communists of Romania.
Oh.
And he got questioned and all this shit, and he had to turn over all of his film and his paper and all that shit like that. And they said they'd give it back, but I mean, who would believe him?
Yeah, like he's gonna bring a ticket in like a month later, like, can I have it back?
Of course he didn't bring it back. Of course he didn't. So we've got guy who took UFO pictures, which all of you folks, strange Fullians, will be able to see and judge for yourself. Or no, you know what? I'm not going to tell you to judge for yourself. How the fuck do you know? You have no idea. Like, if you're a ufologist, then you tell me with your credentials whether they look fake or not. Because I would assume that having the original pictures and dunking them in that water and being in a red room where you go, close the door when somebody comes in when you're actually developing pictures, that would be super important. Now, anybody can Photoshop anything.
Right. That's true.
Deep fakes. So anyway, look at them and say, okay, if I saw this in 68, would I be like, holy shit, that's a UFO? That's how you got to judge it. Not by now standards.
No, now anything's fake. Everything's fake.
A porn drone.
Exactly.
So, back to Alexandru Sift. He wanted to get to the bottom of what the fuck was up in the forest.
Right.
And he apparently got over 25,000 pictures of shit that you couldn't see when you were looking at the thing you were taking the picture of.
What?
Yeah. This electronic visual phenomenon.
Oh, that stuff.
It's like orbs and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like they see like a piece of lens glare or a lens flare or something. Like, oh my God, it's a spirit.
Yeah. That's kind of it. I'm going to bet that that's probably pretty close. But some of the stuff he found.
Right. Sometimes
the weird shadows would take the shape of a couple that would disappear into thin air as soon as they saw him. He got a picture of something that had a stub for an arm and parts of its body were translucent, which apparently is considered dematerialization.
No, you don't want to use an offensive term.
But his 25,000 pictures became a collaborative effort with Professor Adrian Petrut, who was part of a paranormal investigation team. And this was 1974.
I would bet that he showed up in search of more than once.
I am very willing to bet. And if you're interested in this topic, you can see Josh Gates bumble around in the forest at night, not finding anything on Destination Truth. Or if you like your paranormal shows a lot more yelly, they did a Ghost Adventures there. So if you want to see Zach Baggins, calling ghosts pussies and yelling at trees, you can also do that.
Oh God, the civilization.
So there's a lot of and the YouTube for this.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Generally, when I do research for a topic, I listen to other podcasts about the topic because I want to hear which things people repeat and which things that I find out they're wrong that they repeat so that I don't do it.
Right.
Found a wonderful, wonderful podcast. Son of a bitch, I can't remember the name of it. I want to plug them because they were just delightful. They're these two old Australian ladies,
right?
And they went there. They they legitimately went there,
right?
And they just told the story of what it was like to go to that forest. And they had very real life bitches, such as, why did the tour bus why did the tour bus park so far away, so that we had to walk so far to get to the forest and shit like that? Like,
that's
it was
funny.
Fun. I wish I could remember the name of it. They were cute. But I try to get as much information from as many places as possible. Not books.
Right.
That's for suckers. You can't copy and paste from a book. What am I, an idiot? So then I went to YouTube. All the YouTube videos are breathless morons filming themselves running through the forest at night. You know what I mean? Like, it's all the
yeah. That's
they got like 600,000 views. I'm like, Christ. What the fuck is everybody watch? Anyway, I digress. So Adrian Petrut, who was Sif's buddy, revealed after Sif died in 1993 that his 25,000 creepy ghost pictures
had
disappeared.
were actually children.
No, they Larry King strikes again. No.
Larry King.
In case, all right, listen. If this somehow is the first episode you've ever listened to, you got to go back and listen to the previous 4 about the Franklin cover-up and Johnny Gosher, and none of the references that we're going to make for literally the rest of the show, not just this show, the entire run of the show, are going to make any sense. Larry King, terrible. Rusty Nelson, terrible. Paul Bonacci, tortured monster, sort of good guy. Not really. It's complicated. Anyway, the 25,000 pictures were gone because supposedly some strangers broke into the house and stole the documents. Quote, destroying them shortly after. So I don't know how you would know that. If you're in your house and your shit got stolen, you would not then know what happened to it unless, like, it was on your lawn all broken.
Correct.
So I don't know how they know that they were destroyed. They may be in somebody's, vault, I guess. But Petrut's still alive.
Oh.
And he keeps saying that the shit that happens in the forest has some kind of scientific basis. We just haven't figured out what the scientific basis is yet. So we got UFOs, we got ghostly weird pictures, creepy faces, people with 2 heads, that kind of shit.
Got it all.
Stuff not visible to the normal eye, but is apparently fine for cameras.
People not aging.
Right. Kids not aging, disappearing sheep. A lot of shit going down. People see things that look like humans and animals, but they can't see, like, I don't understand this.
Are they possibly manimals?
They could be. They could be manimals. One of the pictures he took, apparently that I couldn't find it, but there's one, you can see a face in thin air. Then there's another one with a head in the edge of the woods just floating in the air and shit like that. So this is all ghost shit.
Yeah.
So we have disappearance shit, then we have ghost shit.
Yep.
Then we have UFO shit.
Alien shit, yeah.
What's coming next? Demon shit.
This is like an episode of Supernatural.
A lot of people think that the round glade is like a portal to hell or some shit like that. So there's always some like fucking weirdos out there trying to, you know, have seances or make portals or
all that
shit like that.
Fucking stupid
of course.
Shit.
Now, in 1975, Petrut said that he found some mysterious ruins in the forest.
Ooh.
And he was with a big group of his friends, and they took hundreds of pictures. Now, I'm going to ask you, listeners and Shooey, what do you think of this? If I told you, hey, I went into the haunted forest with a bunch of my friends, and we all took pictures of the ruins that we found.
Yeah.
And then we went home. Then I went back because ruins had appeared in the forest and they were gone. And then when everybody developed their pictures, there were no ruins in the pictures. Or they had been in the pictures, but then they disappeared like Marty's parents in Back to the Future. Like Marty and his sister disappear because they're fading out, but the ruins faded out. Wouldn't you think that all those people were just tripping balls and thought that they had seen ruins in the forest and took a bunch of pictures of a rock or some shit?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
All right, so also apparently one time he saw footprints in the snow that just stopped, as if whoever had been walking either jumped up in the air really high and landed far away, got picked up by a helicopter, or pulled a Danny Torrance and walked backwards into his own tracks to keep Jack Torrance from catching him in the maze. So, more strange occurrences. And these are from, I mean, this Petrut guy, he's been hanging around there for a long time. And there's not like, as far as I can tell, there's not a big anti-Adrian Petrut contingency out there. Because a lot of times ufologists, would you put it, don't get along.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and ghost hunters are kind of the same way. As a matter of fact, we should at some point do an episode. It's not really our thing though. Maybe we'll do it for the Patreon. There was a big fucking remember Ghost Hunters, the show, the first one with the two plumbers?
I remember it vaguely, yeah.
The bald guy and the little guy. And they had really good evidence all the time, and they were like super serious about the way they did it, although they never made enough money to quit their plumbing job. There was a big controversy about that because they fired one of their ghost hunters, and she talked some shit about what really went on in that show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's juicy. That's some juicy stuff right there, folks. All right, I'm going to have to think about that. That's patreon.com/strangeful if you want to hear that story. Or you can go to the Discord and watch us stream on Friday nights and hang out and shoot the shit with us too. That's also a fun thing that we do. All right, so I got to get back to we're almost out of time. I got to bring us
bring
home.
This all together, man.
Yeah. There's also weird noises. People have said that here's a bunch of shit that makes no sense together. Some people have said they don't want to sleep there at night because there's too many hoof print noises outside the tent. Other people report ambulance sounds, which, since you're a few kilometers away from a city, would seem to make sense. Clock ticks, really fast screams and giggles.
Is it possible that these people are all hearing the same thing, but they just think they're all these different things?
That's very, very possible. Very possible. Batteries go dead in the forest. Batteries of your equipment, important batteries of things. And Adrian Petrut and his team found
the sheep.
Nope, but it was an animal. They found a bustard.
What the fuck is a bustard?
A bustard is a large terrestrial bird living mainly in dry grassland areas and on the steppes of the old world. So Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And, interesting fact, the Corey bustard, the great bustard, is frequently cited as the world's heaviest flying bird. Large males exceed a weight of 44 pounds, but they can still fly. So if you...
Fatty birds.
Somebody on Earth had to have been walking along, and a bustard that had a heart attack while flying somewhere fell on him and killed him deader than shit. I mean, that has to have happened, right? Law of averages?
Right. Oh, yeah.
There must have been an aerial bustard bomb. Anyway, they saw the bustard, and the bustard shouldn't have been in that forest. So there's that. They tried to catch it, but they couldn't, which I don't know why you couldn't catch a big fat fucking big bird,
big fat,
but whatever.
Bird.
Then it disappeared, and then they also saw a cat that they thought looked like a leopard. And
the old leopard
so we got
cat.
that going for us. And I'm going to give you the last weird part because there was another guy that photographed some poor paranormal experts there, and when he developed the film, they had deformed faces, and they all had multiple heads. A physicist, the same guy, said that a television crew thought they ran over an old lady, but there was no old lady there. This is just standard ghost story shit. And then they found an old man who asked how to get to town, and they said, you got to go this way and blah, blah, blah. And he just disappeared like a ghost guy. So maybe it's a hellmouth. Maybe it's, a UFO launching pad. Could be any of those things. But there is an actual documented, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
People, there's a Adrian Petrut identified in the forest. There's a special area which he called socially active point 3.
Catchy name.
Yeah, it's a good name. But he said that was like the center of all the phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that is, from everything that I can tell, regardless of how many UFOs are supposedly flying overhead and all that kind of shit, it is true that people that have spent time in the forest, when they come out, they get fevers, they get rashes, and the skin starts to come off their hands.
What?
Yep. Think about that. Hold on.
The first few, I get it. You get those in your yard.
Oh, shut up. Yes, some of those things would happen in my yard, but unless you decided to pretend to give my poison oak that I sprayed Roundup on a hand job, I don't think the skin would fall off your hands.
Well, yeah, that was the one that got me.
Yeah. So, what does this all mean?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, we could be like every other show and say, draw your own conclusions. Do your own research, man. But I'm telling you right now, don't do your own research unless you want to look up the neat pictures, because it's all going to circle jerk back to the same thing. If you want to go to Romania, there are plenty of tours that you can take of the forest.
Oh,
just
sure.
Don't take the one that the old ladies took that made them walk up the hill, because they were not happy with that at all. They were also not super happy that they were there to do actual ghosty research and shit like that, and everyone else was there fucking around, like trying to make a, I don't know, a demon circle in the clearing and whatever like that.
Ugh.
So maybe it's a hellmouth. Maybe it's just the 1,001. No, I guess it would be 1,006 people that died if you include the 5 suicides and the shepherd that disappeared in the woods.
Do we not care about his sheep?
I care. I already said how much I care about the shanks. We also
Shank.
You can see UFOs that are pyramids or cylinders, cones, all sorts of shapes like that. No lima bean shaped ones, which, yeah, I know, that was kind of a bummer. But anyway, this is in Romania. It's a real place. It's either haunted or infested by aliens, or it's a demon portal, or it's full of radiation, because who knows what the commies were doing. They could have been figuring out how to irradiate sheep, kill them all. Well, no, that was probably too long ago. But anyway, they were probably trying to figure out how to resurrect sheep skeletons with radiation, which is
Isn't that how you do it?
Which is what happened in Socially Active Point 3, which is where all the problems are. It's also super muddy. If you're going to go there, stay on the roads even though they're muddy, I guess. Or maybe the tour guide will bring you to where the weird trees are. I'd be much more interested in the weird trees than I would be in the clearing, because I've seen clearings before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a word for it. It's a clearing. Like, why would they think that a clearing is so strange if they already had a word for it? Clearings appear in many forests. I don't know what the science behind it is, but it's a thing. Many a fairy tale has kids walking through the woods and then they come to a clearing. There's Lawrence King with a holding a sack. So,
Lawrence,
any thoughts on this story? And I'm not going to do, when it's my turn to do the episodes, I'm not going to do a bunch of, hey, here's just a bunch of shit that people made up. Like they made up about the blind man's house near my grandmother's, who his job was to make clothespins because he was blind and that was all he could do, was put clothespins together. So his house was all abandoned and like falling down and shit, but the whole ground was covered with clothespins. So maybe he got fired because he just threw all his clothespins on the ground instead of giving them to the clothespin factory. I don't fucking know. Anyway, there were lots of stories made up about him, but he's not getting an episode. This is all he's getting.
I would hope not. I think that was enough.
If there's more than one website selling tours to a place, it's episode worthy. Plus the fact that I get to think of how many tags we get. We get disappearance, we get ghost, we get UFO, sheep. We don't have a tag for sheep.
Well, you better get one.
So anyway, you're going to see the pictures in the go to strangefulthings.com and look for the episode. If you get our show on some podcatcher, number one, thank you for sticking with us while we were moving and stuff was happening and we couldn't put episodes out. We wanted to. We wanted to wait until everything was put back in place the way it was supposed to be, and now it is. We are very, very grateful that you are still here. Feel free to rate us 5 stars and write glowing comments. You can go to Shooey Time on Twitter. His Twitter is going to get way more active now. Now that he's out of the hustle and bustle of New York.
They're mad active.
That's right. Super, super active. And I'm at Acadia. We already mentioned the Patreon. Strangeful. It's what? Patreon.com/Strangeful.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
What is
Strangeful Things is our Instagram.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
And Strangeful Pod.
And Strangeful Pod is our Twitter. I should really do shit on that.
Yeah, we have to figure out who's going to do what. We gotta
that's going to be my
up,
goal.
Some shit.
Yeah, now that we don't have as many people to spread it around to, it's going to be a lot harder to do everything.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Because it really wasn't that easy to do when we had more people. So I don't see how it's going to go anywhere but downhill now. Well, This is a problem. All right, we're also
we're looking to put out an episode every 3 or 4 months. That's it.
No, we're getting back to regular scheduled programming, baby. We're doing it. We love you all very, very much. We love you, Snoops. We love you, Mel's.
We do.
And Jen and Christy and the long line of predecessors, Kenny, B-Nev, Sandwich. I think that's everybody, right?
I don't know, man.
Jimbo. Nobody No one remembers Daryl in his one episode. Eva Halloween had one. Yeah. This is quite a show. I'm so happy we're back. I guess there's only one thing for you to tell people now, Shooey.
That's to keep on flapping.
Bye-bye.